Papermaking was invented in China almost 2,000 years ago. It spread to the rest of the world and had been practiced solely as a hand process until the advent of the Industrial Revolution in the 19th century. At that time, machines began to produce paper, and the hand paper maker gradually began to disappear. For the past 20 years, we have been investigating and documenting the vestiges of hand paper making that still exist in various parts of the world. In 1986, we were fortunate to find the paper-making village of Machun, about 3 hours south of Chengdu in the Sichuan Province of China. Machun is a beautiful village, high in the mountains, a small river winding through it, the area lush with small farms of rice, wheat, bamboo, cabbage, and all sorts of vegetables. At least 200 families work at papermaking here, the skills handed down from one generation to another. We asked one man who was making paper how long paper had been made here, and he replied, "Forever, ever since it began." We learned about this village of paper making when we met Shifuli, a master paper maker of Machun, when he was demonstrating paper making in the United States at a special exhibition of Chinese science and technology. Right now I'm walking toward his house high up in the mountains, and when we visited him in 1986, the region of his village was closed to Westerners, and we overcame many obstacles in order to reach it. Now, in 1993, we decided to go to Machun village again. The area is now open to foreigners, but we have learned that we are still the only ones who have come here to visit the paper makers. We have now reached the house of Shifuli. She is not around today, but his son, his older son, Jiajiang, is going to explain to us the process of paper making here. And also, we are very fortunate to have Miss Hu, who is going to translate for me. The paper that is made here is largely made from bamboo fiber. And here we see a large pile of bamboo. It is young bamboo that is cut before the plant reaches the age of 1 year. It will be sliced into small pieces and then soaked in an alkaline solution for 3 days. This is the vat made of stone in which the bamboo fiber or any other fiber that they might use for paper making is soaked for 3 days in alkaline. After the fiber has soaked for 3 days, it is then cooked or steamed in a cooking oven for 1.5 days, after which it is ready for beating. When we were here in 1986, the beating apparatus consisted of a foot-operated stamper. Now, the whole system has been mechanized, and we are looking at an electrified beater. This has very much simplified the process for the paper makers and made life a little easier for them. We asked to see the inside of the beating apparatus, and very kindly, Xi Jinping opened up the beater, and we can see the blades and how, when it revolves, this turns, and this part agitates and also grinds the bamboo, ending up with a very usable pulp. After the fiber has been beaten in the beater, a solution of bleach is mixed up in this vat. Then the beaten pulp is put in here along with the bleaching solution, and it is left in the bleach for a day in order to whiten the pulp. And here we see the very white pulp. Now that the pulp is prepared, we can see the sheet forming process. The younger brother of Xi Jinping is demonstrating the paper-making skill to us. He's forming the sheets on a very large mold on which a flexible bamboo screen is placed. And he dips the mold into the pulp, picking up a thin layer of the pulp, and now he transfers the newly formed sheet of paper onto his post of papers, as we see in the background. The paper maker forms the sheets very quickly and very easily. Some of this is facilitated by the use of a mucilaginous substance that is added to the pulp, similar to what the Japanese paper makers call neri. Here it is made from the bark of a certain tree that grows in the area. You can see that the sheets of paper, when they are couched, are placed one right on top of each other. There is no cloth in between each sheet, nor is there even a piece of thread placed between each sheet. By the end of the day, the papermaker will have finished approximately 600 sheets of paper. And then he will press the post of papers by means of a 30-ton hydraulic jack. When we were here in 1986, a much more primitive method of pressing was used by means of wood being piled up on top of the post of papers, and then a winch was used to gradually lower a heavy beam onto the paper. The paper is left in the press for 2 hours, which then means that enough water has been squeezed out of the paper so that then the sheets can be separated for its final drying. The final drying is done on the walls of the papermaker's house, and Xi Jinping is going to demonstrate how the damp paper is brushed up. They do it in groups of 10 sheets on each section of the wall, and he uses a stiff brush to apply the paper. After the paper is dry, the stack of papers is peeled off of the wall and placed down on the table. On the corner of the sheets of paper, you can see the mark of the papermaker. The final step in papermaking is separating the sheets of paper that have dried. And we are watching the wife of Xi Fuli, who is separating each sheet of paper from the group of 10 papers that had been brushed onto each panel of the wall. This has been a fascinating demonstration of papermaking in the old traditional Chinese manner. And we want to thank Xi Jinping so very much for his kindness in showing us all of the processes.